Hey, what's up, guys? Today I'm going to talk about this is for recording. I ran into something where I noticed an interest from my nephew wanting to get involved possibly in some music production, creating music, little beat machines, things like that. And it took me back to a time where I was first introduced to music in my family a while ago through my uncles and watching them grow up just rocking out some old school rock. And then getting my first guitar, taking it from there, getting into analog recording, and then watching that traverse into digital recording, and then all the other bells and whistles that go along with it. But it took me back to a time, it made me empathetic on when I was at that age and I didn't have a lot of money, but I wanted to be able to create music, but put myself into all the options that you have available now with all the technology that's just lying around, free, subscription based, paid for, and then put that into contrast, and then wanted to come up with something not only for my nephew to view, but anybody else that's trying to make music or even just begin to tinker with music but doesn't have that much money to get into it or is not ready to invest in a lot into it, and they just want to dabble, maybe see how they like it, or if they want to get in and take it from there. So I'm gonna go over one. I'm gonna go over a couple different ways, but in this way, I'm going to point to reason. That's what we're going to be focusing on today. And if you don't know what reason is, reason is DAW, or Digital Audio Workstation Software. That's what DAW stands for. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to create music. I'm going to put it on the screen here, but so if you want to check it out, you don't have the money. There's a subscription based side of Reason, and then there's a outright purchase side of Reason. Then you can also try before you buy. So there's a demo mode you can run into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and I'm in the process of actually upgrading it right now because they got some huge file sizes for updates and things like that. So one thing you're gonna need a computer, but you're gonna need a computer with a decent hard drive. Right now, the supported operating systems are Windows 10 and Mac. I'm not a Mac user, but I will pull those up and find out before the show's over, or I'll leave them in the show notes. And then what we have here on the screen, I will pull up, is Reason. Okay, and then from here, I will adjust the screen a little bit. But you got on the bottom here, you have your tracks where you can chop, edit, erase, and then you'll also you got your rack here. You can pop these out with these little arrows up on the top, so that way you can, if you have multi-screen, you can start to adjust these. Okay, but if you run it in demo mode, and you'll know if you run it in demo mode, if you have the paid, the only difference is if you have the paid version, you'll sign in. Okay, it's a subscription based. Right now, it's at $19.99 a month. There is a way to actually get a discount. I'll leave those in the notes, and then you can take it from there if you want to go ahead and actually subscribe. But if you want to run it in demo mode, you can do that as well. Take it for a test drive. The only difference is I believe it doesn't allow you to save it, or it allows you to save it, but it doesn't allow you to bring it back up. Okay, and I'll confirm that. But that's the way it was set up. So here you have your sequencer. So you'll be able to organize your tracks as you start to set these out. Another thing is, and I'll go and grab that real quick. I did invest in a piece of hardware. This is a MIDI controlled beat pad. Okay, and this is I'll leave it in the notes. I got it upside down. But this is the Akai Professional pt.1. But this little guy right here is about $118 if I'm not mistaken. But it'll allow you to sort of just tap out your drum beat. It's a little more natural, but you don't need this. So what you can do is on your screen on the bottom left, you can hit this keys button, and it will allow you to use your keyboard. Okay, and then you can change the octaves, shift down lower, shift up higher right here, and then this will tell you what keys on your keyboard to hit whatever specific note. Okay, and then you got a little bit more control. So if you find yourself using this a lot in the beginning because you don't have the money to get the MIDI controller that I just showed, or something similar to that, because they got a couple of different ones out there, but your entry level usually ranges right around 120 bucks brand new. You can find some used gear online too, because people sort of outgrow their gear, or they want more features. So you can find some decent stuff out there to resell. But that's not going to stop you. You can do everything right here off your keyboard for now, just to get the concept. And so I'm going to close this out, and then the top part here, you have your mixer. Okay, so you can also pop this out. And if you hover over here, you got some shortcuts. Get used to your shortcuts. That'll help. So by hitting Control F5, that'll pop up the mixing console. And you got your mixing console right here. I have multi-screen, so it keeps popping up towards the left. But then if you see, you got tons of options. So I'm scrolling through this one channel right here, and you see it goes all the way up. And if you look here on your left, you sort of got like a quick view. You can sort of jump from the bottom all the way to the top real quick. Your FX, your inserts, your EQs, all types of things. And we'll get into this in more detail. Right now, I'm just sort of navigating around here. But that being said, let's just get right into it. On the left-hand side, you have your browser. You can explore instruments, effects, utilities, players. Right here, you have sound banks, you have patches, extensions. Then you also have folders that point back to stuff that's on your PC. You might have samples, things like that. You also have like a shortcut showcases, like just a quick go-to. If there's certain sounds you're used to playing with, you can add them there and just sort of have them readily available. If there's like sounds you use common, or like a common work environment, you can sort of put all your samples, your patches, and just save them right there for under your showcase. But yeah, so for instance, we'll go ahead and add Kong, and a double left click, and I will pop up the rec. Okay, so I had to pause it for a second. I adjusted the audio settings, and that brings up a good point. If you're not hearing quite the way you think, or if you're not hearing sounds or something like that, or you got your headphones plugged in but you're still not hearing something, you need to work these things out. You're going to find that up in your top left corner under File and Preferences, and under here you have these these tabs. This is going to allow you to do some more modification, but Audio tab is where you're going to be able to path out where these sounds come out at. So your headphones, if you're on a laptop and you need it to be quiet, or maybe you have it plugged into some loud stereo speakers, so you can thump it while you're making beats. That's all done through here. I'll get into it in more detail, but that's where you would find it. Control surfaces, that's a whole different story within itself. But back to the first instrument, which I brought up, was Kong. And you can see here, I'll use my keyboard, hit my keyboard key, and then so you can sort of hear me, because I'm real close to the microphone, you can hear me hitting the keys. So you got all these multiple pads you can assign sounds to. Some of them aren't mapped to actual pads, so you have to figure that part out. But this is all customizable. So you can come in here individually, and just to show you how robust it actually is, I'll expand this a little bit. I'm going to pull this up so we can see more of this. And I'll pull the sequencer down a little bit. And then if you expand, see I hit this little show drum and effects. You expand it, this is how detailed you can actually get it. So I'll go to pad 1, And then as you see here, you can do a lot of things. I won't get into everything you can do with this, but you can modify these. And you can also right click, and then you can do more stuff too. You can patch in things. And speaking of patches, if you look up on the top left corner, this is one of the key things you are going to want to understand, is up in the top left corner of pretty much every instrument, you're going to see instrument and effects. You're going to see this right here, and it's browse patch. If you click on this, it'll jump to available patches. So there's some presets already here. If I double left click on that, now it just loaded all new pads. Okay, double left click. Now we got the pop kit. And loaded all new pads. And then you can go through these patches, and you can find more stuff, more sounds. So like factory sounds, I went here, double left clicked here, and I'm gonna look for Kong patches. That takes me back to where I just came from. But go ahead and explore. There's lots of stuff in here. But you get it. Okay? So that's Kong. We'll go back to instruments. Now, say you don't want to sit there and you don't want to hammer one out. Or you have a different work method. There's a couple ways you can do that and make beats. Usually what I do is I'll go and start with a loop. I'll start with a loop and I'll double left click. One of them is Dr. Octo Rex Loop Player. Double left click on that. And this is going to allow you to add multiple loops to each one of these little sections, and then you can create patterns off of it. So I'll run this. So one cool thing about this is it's set up for many genres, not only just hip hop or techno or electric and stuff like that, but this is a full-fledged digital audio workstation. So I can sit here and bring in live tracks. I can add, by clicking here, I can create an audio track, and then I could, depending on what like laptop audio, what your audio card will support, I can map in my guitar. I have an external audio card that allows me to plug in more things, but you can record, you do your mic for vocals, lyrics. Same thing with guitar, or if you wanted to do like just record other sounds, you can do it here. So it's pretty robust, So this patch right here for the Rex loop player, this is set up, it's got like a session drummer. So if you don't have a drummer and you just want to jam out, this is one way to do it. I'll switch the patterns. See, changed it up a little. And then it's looping it through, it's blending it in all the way, and it's syncing it. But you get the idea, right? And this is another fill. And back. So you get the idea, and then again, here goes back to the patches. So this was curated, all put together nice and clean, so you can just get right into working. But you can go and browse the patches, and then you see over here on your left hand side, I clicked on percussion, and then we go ahead and click run again. You have percussion at 120 beats per second. This will tell you the BPM, or the beats per minute. And then down here too, you have your clock, or your beats per minute, or your tempo. Right now I'm at 120, but you can change that. Hit enter. Down here you have your metronome, so if you want to hammer out your own drum beat, you got your metronome. That helps you keep track of time if you're not familiar with these things. You can take that off. You can also do a pre-count, so by clicking this, it will do a 1, 2, 3, go. And it'll, if you hit your record button, 3, go. Now it's recording. So you have your transport controls on the bottom, but that's going to allow you to do things like record, rewind, play, stop, adjust your beats per minute, add your metronome, also toggle your keys. You're going to add your instruments here. But this, one of the powerful things about Reason is it has tons of instruments. I mean, I don't want to blindside you with the amount of stuff that's in here, but just to scroll through some of these, I mean, it's endless. I covered a brief demonstration of like the new one that they added, Mimic Creative Sampler, Thor. There's tons of huge instruments and effects. You can get lost in the sea of effects and sounds in here. I've literally spent hours just putting together, patches for, what I want in my drum kit. So I've went in here and I've spent a couple hours just tweaking each pad, getting it just the way I wanted to get a specific sound. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, it's your own world, and it's a clean slate. You do whatever you want in here. But the instruments, I mean, for instance, here's your ropa, and I mean, I'll go ahead and hit a couple keys here just to show you, but just these rich sounds. So then you can go down, and this will jump down to the next patch. You see I'm hitting this down arrow and it's going through the next thing, and it also tells you right here. Okay, so this is to give you an example. That's one of the many. If you look on the left hand side, all the built-in devices or instruments that are available. You got samplers, you got synthesizers, analog, grainy stuff, bass. You have other types of, little drum machines. This one's rhythmic. I haven't played with this one too much, but you get the idea. So you got options. Okay, same with effects. Okay, so I can come in here, I can plug in my guitar, and I could, even if I hit clean, I could mix in stuff. So I can add distortion, or you can add distortion to your mics. So you got endless instruments, okay? And obviously don't have the time to get into all of these, but you have options. Same thing with effects. I mean, it's limitless. Okay, these are all effects. These are all utilities. Okay, so you can add more mixers if you run out of sounds or tracks you want to tweak. Players, it's a whole different ball game within itself. So you have sequencers. Say you're not that good at drumming things out, but you're good at you might find that building a sequence of drums is your work method. Sometimes I'll do that too. It just helps. It'll help you map things out. So I could go, for instance, say you're not good at hammering out the beat. I could right click on this and say I want to add a drum sequencer. Now what I just did here is I attached the sequencer to Kong. Now, I attached the sequencer to Kong, so now it's going to do all the drumming for me. Okay, and I'll go ahead 4 on the floor. But you get the idea. You can come in here, you can draw on top of it, add more things. See? So it allows flexibility depending on how you want to work inside of here. So this is one of the many examples. Okay, so check it out. Another thing I wanted to point out is, if you wanted to start to record and add these here, check it out. I think I'm going to make a couple different parts of this so we can get in and we can actually make a beat. But again, you got a free demo version. I added it to the show notes. You can download it, check it out, or you can get a subscription you know, get a month-to-month subscription, and you don't like it, you can go ahead and dump it. But I don't see how you couldn't like this. There's just tons of stuff, tons of ways you can explore sound in here. So I think the next part, and this is going to be part 1. Part 2, we'll go ahead and we'll put together a basic beat inside of here and just show you how to actually make something. Okay, but I hope this helps. If you guys like what I just did here, go ahead, leave your comments, give me a like, subscribe, and then I will see you around hopefully for part 2. Take care.